2022 is looking to be like one of the biggest years in traveling. Everyone has been cooped up the last 2 years and they can't wait to get back out. Personally, for myself, I've had to travel the last 2 years to see family and things like that. So I've gained a little bit of experience of how to travel during the pandemic. With all that being said, if you have not traveled before and you have to go out and do it now, or if you haven't traveled in a few years and you need to be reminded, I'm gonna try and give you 10 quick tips to help you get back out there so you don't have to worry about it. That being said, this video is not sponsored at all. There's no company, there's no ties to anything. If you do want to help out and you get any sort of benefit from this video, just click down below. That being said, I'm going to try and go as quickly as I possibly can because your time is just as important as mine. Let's go. Number 1, which might seem like the easiest, but it's probably the most restricting, picking your destination. Maybe the place you want to go, you can't actually go to. Down below, there's going to be a link that you can click on. You're going to be able to type in your country that you're currently located in, your passport and where you're from, and then it's going to be able to tell you where you can and cannot go, and if you can, what restrictions are available. There will be a little slider on the website saying whether you're vaccinated or non-vaccinated, and then it will change the map according to the places you can go to, where you're from, and your vaccination process. So we'll jump into number 2 immediately, which will probably be the most controversial. If you can, get vaccinated. It's going to make your traveling so much easier. It's going to open up a world of possibilities in the countries that you want to go to and what you can do when you're there already. If you're not vaccinated, there's a good chance you can't go to restaurants in foreign countries. There's a good chance you can't even go to that country. And so it's your body, it's your choice. You do whatever you want to. I'm just letting you know that if you're vaccinated, that will help you immensely. Number 3, use Skyscanner, Kayak, Momondo, any of those places. Like I said, this is not sponsored by any website or anything like that, but use those websites because they do a very good job of searching all of the airlines and all of the websites and trying to give you the best deal you possibly can. Just make sure that when you do it, you drop it into incognito mode, because if you don't, there's a good chance that those companies are going to slowly raise the prices due to your search history and your cookies, which is keeping tabs on where you're traveling from and where you hope to travel to. And tip like 3.5, if you want to do the extra step, maybe actually go to the airline of the flight that you found on Momondo or Skyscanner. Let's say that you found a flight with American Airlines. Go to American Airlines, type in the exact same dates and locations. You might be able to get the ticket for cheaper. You may not. It may be cheaper on Skyscanner or Momondo. That's what they're there for, but there's also a good chance that you can find a cheaper ticket on that actual website. Words. But now that you've already looked for flights and everything and you're trying to decide, make sure you do number 4, and that is pay a little bit more if that means you're going to get a direct route. The more stops you have, the more complications there are going to be, especially with COVID and especially with time restraints in airports. Before COVID, you could limit yourself to a certain amount of time to find your bag, check back in, everything along those lines if you were changing from international to domestic or vice versa. Now, you really need to try and minimize as much time as you possibly can in the airports doing all of that stuff, because if there's a complication, you might get stuck there. Also, maybe you'd be flying to a country that would make it significantly harder to get to the next one. Maybe you can get to France easily, but maybe your flight stops in, I don't know, Italy, and there's different restrictions. So make sure you try and get the most direct route you possibly can. So the next one, number 5, I think? Number 5, book as early as you can. I made the mistake just a couple weeks ago of looking for a flight back home to the States to visit my family, and I was booking it way too late. So make sure you book early in advance. It will help out with your pricing immensely because, let's face it, during COVID, they're just going up and up and up. And they know that people want to travel this summer. So the earlier you book, the better it will be. That actually goes hand in hand with the next one, which I've never done before, but I do now, and that is get flight and travel insurance. If you're booking a ticket 6 months out in advance, there's a good chance that something could change between now and then, even more likely than a few years ago. So make sure you do that, because if they cancel the flight due to COVID restrictions, any sort of other things going on in the world at the moment, then it could get really tough to get that money back for that cancellation. Number 7, make sure that whenever you go to the airport, whether you're coming back to your home country or you're leaving, that you have your digital copies and your printed copies. That website that I gave you at the beginning will oftentimes tell you the documents you need to go to the countries you want to visit. Make sure you have all of them digitally on your phone if you can, or have a printed copy, because if you're in another country and you can't get a hold of data or you can't get any Wi-Fi at the airport because of whatever reasons, it's better to be safe than sorry to just be able to pull out your tickets, pull out your passenger locator forms, or whatever documents you need to fly back or to get to the country you want to. It might seem a little bit like overkill, but the idea is that you want to make your travel as safe and as comfortable as it possibly can be. Next tip, make sure you get to the airport earlier than you ever thought you would. For me personally, before the pandemic, I would arrive before flights 30 minutes before they would really depart. And now, due to the pandemic, I get there about 3 hours early just to make sure. Because I have flown on 2 different occasions where the restrictions have gotten more strict and have completely opened up. So make sure that you stay on top of it and you get there early just in case. Because let's say you're not required to get a COVID test a couple weeks beforehand, and then the day that you fly, now you have to get a COVID test to enter the country. You don't have that ahead of time, and you don't give yourself the extra time at the airport, you might be stuck. So make sure that you get there ahead of time and make sure that you have some stuff to do just in case you're there 3 hours early. Like I said, be prepared and also be flexible. Which leads me to the next one, overbook and be a little flexible. When I say overbook, I don't necessarily mean that you need to put 2 events right on top of each other. But the idea is that when you go to a new place, maybe have a couple backup plans. Because maybe something will happen while you're there, or maybe there will be a new restriction that drops while you're there, and you just need to be safe. But make sure that you have a backup plan just in case, because you don't want to find yourself in a place without anything to do. Although that's kind of how I like to travel personally. I just like to get lost. So just be as flexible as you possibly can. And if you're someone that needs something to do every day, make sure you have like a list of B things. That may have been number 8 or number 9. I've kind of lost track myself, to be honest. But the last one I'll give you is just enjoy. Get back out there, soak up as much culture as you possibly can. Go meet some strangers, ask a ton of dumb questions that you don't know the answers to, but you probably should. Learn as much as you possibly can. Just soak in as much culture as you possibly can for the next bit, because you don't know if this is going to ever happen again and you're going to be confined. With all that being said, take care of yourself and the person next to you. And if you like these videos, subscribing, hitting the like button, or whatever it is, goes a long way. So I appreciate it very much. Have a good one.